snow white, springy little balls of mozzarella, creamy and fragrant. Yes, you can make them at home. It does take a bit of effort. Maybe the first time it won't turn out, the second time will be better, but still not perfect. And then on the 10th or 15th try, it'll work again, and on the 20th, the result will be different once more. That's normal. First of all, that's because the taste, texture, and yield of homemade mozzarella really depend on your base, the milk you got that day. And yesterday the cow ate one thing, but the day before she ate something else. And tomorrow, if the weather changes, the temperature and the fat content of the milk will change too, along with the taste and so on. And this can really affect the yield, that is, the volume and the taste. How delicate, creamy, or strongly flavored it will be, or maybe, it might not even smell like milk at all, so to speak. I just want to say, don't worry if yours turns out differently than mine. Or like I said, maybe the second or third time it won't turn out as perfectly as the first, or it might not work out the first time at all. That's okay, don't let it stop you. We learn from our own mistakes and from others' mistakes too. Second, the milk should be unpasteurized, meaning it's freshly milked, either from the evening or the morning, but not pasteurized or ultra-pasteurized. And before making mozzarella, the milk needs to be cooled down because we'll be adding food-grade citric acid. If the temperature is higher than 14 degrees, that is, if the milk is at room temperature or, even more so, just came from the cow, flakes will immediately start to appear, and it will be difficult for us to work, almost impossible, with the starter and the rennet. Yes, the process just won't go as it should right from the start. That's why my milk is from the fridge, you see, and the container is also a bit fogged up. Next, I need to add citric acid to this cold milk, I repeat. For 5 liters of milk, I need 10 grams of citric acid. Remember, when working with cheese, dairy, bacteria, and starter cultures, everything in the kitchen must be spotlessly clean, you and all your equipment. We dissolve this acid in 50 milliliters of water. The water should be clean, cooled, boiled, or clean mineral water. There we go, we've diluted it and stirred it. It's dissolved. We add it in. We mix it. And on a very low heat, on low, meaning without any boosting, without any aggression at all, together with a precise thermometer, we now gently heat the milk to a specific temperature of exactly 34 degrees Celsius. So we stop at 34 because, thanks to the cast iron or any other kind of pot, say, if you have a saucepan with a thick bottom or aluminum, the temperature will keep rising on its own due to the heat from the milk, the pot, and the stove. That's why 34 degrees is enough. Okay, in the meantime, you can clean up and get the starter ready right here. First, we're going to activate it, the starter. So, what is a starter? It's the flavor, yes, it's the bacteria that influence the formation of the specific taste of a particular cheese. Pick whichever is convenient for you. My starter is red, I need to measure it out, and the rennet too. Oh, also for 5 liters. I'll measure it out for myself now and be ready for the next step. I've successfully reached my final temperature of exactly 35 degrees Celsius. Now, we need to carefully sieve life to add the essential starter bacteria. So first, we always gently sprinkle it right on top and let it sit for a good 30 seconds to a full minute. Break time equals 0.5s/, so it can thoroughly soak up some of the fresh milk and truly round out, so to speak. And then after that, we mix it in. We can never mix the starter and the rennet at the same time, because if we add the rennet, it will immediately start activating the curd, right? And as a result, the starter won't have enough time to quickly spread throughout the entire volume of our raw material. That's why, after we add the starter, we absolutely have to let it sit for about 20 to 30 minutes. Give it some time to work, and only after that do we add the rennet. So you set a timer for 30 minutes, for example, right? In the meantime, let's get our rennet ready in advance. There we go. About 50 milliliters of water. We've mixed it. Let it sit and wait. Let's put away the rest of the ingredients. We won't need these anymore. We're moving on to the next step. So we took 5 liters of milk, unpasteurized. Make sure to write that down. This is important for mozzarella. If you use pasteurized milk instead, you'll only get a tiny ball of mozzarella from 5 liters. We'll weigh what we get from this amount. It could be 500 grams, maybe 600 grams, just so you know, right? So basically, about 10% of the milk's volume. That's why it's not always commercially profitable to make it at home. It's more cost-effective to just go to the store and buy it. But the process itself and knowing how it works, what it's made from, mozzarella, for example, that's what really matters. Secondly, I want to say that these cooked cheeses, like mozzarella, sologhini, halloumi, penne, where we raise the temperature a lot, I can't say and won't say that they're unhealthy, but they are less healthy compared to fresh, soft cheeses where the bacteria are still really alive. In those, the probiotics have a better effect on our bodies. But these cooked cheeses, like mozzarella, of course, contain protein, fats, calcium, potassium, and other microelements that our body needs. Moving on, 5 liters of milk. For 5 liters of milk, we took 10 grams of citric acid, right? 10 grams, we write a plus sign like this, meaning that the next step is to add 10 grams of citric acid. While it's still unpasteurized, I write 14 degrees is the maximum temperature for adding the citric acid, okay. The citric acid is dissolved in 50 milliliters of water. Added. We raise this to what temperature? 34. The temperature is 36 degrees Celsius. We add the rennet. Add it. The rennet that we diluted in 50 milliliters of water. Water. We'll stir this, add it to our milk that already has the starter, and leave it for another 30 minutes until a curd forms. Time's up. We add the rennet. See, the starter and the milk haven't changed consistency at all. You'll see what happens after we add the rennet. There we go. Yeah, we just stirred it for about 10 seconds. Great. We cover it with the lid again and wait another 30 minutes. Done. Yes. My friend. Yes. We've got an absolutely wonderful result, so when you tilt the pot. You see, this is called the curd, which separates from the sides of your container. This is what we need. Next, we need to cut it into cubes. Well, sort of cubes, since ours will be long cubes. This curd, the knife should go through very easily, just like mine does. I've also had it happen in my mozzarella making experience when I wasn't careful with the temperature and left it on the stove, which was still warm. I only realized that afterwards. And this curd, it did form, but it was uneven, a bit melted, and had sunk to the bottom. So that means the temperature was too high. If you don't get a solid curd that doesn't stick to the knife or stretch when you cut it, then even at this stage you should realize that something has gone wrong. Either the temperature or the starter or the rennet, you didn't take care of their amount, the proportion, or maybe even the milk. Not extra fresh, right. Now, with a slotted spoon, we need to stir for a few minutes to firm up the cheese curds. We need to do this gently without rushing, without breaking up the structure too much, but allowing the whey to flow between these cubes, between the curds, so that it firms up. Yeah, I can already see that delicate texture, look. That's the mozzarella part, the future mozzarella. We stir it a little. Our cheese will settle, and the whey, on the contrary, will rise to the top now. The next important step will be melting the mozzarella. You can do this either in the whey, yes, the one it was made in. I prefer using whey because it's like, well, in its own environment, so it doesn't lose its flavors, since you can also melt it in water. I think that when we melt the mozzarella, it gives away some of its flavor to the water, and it's really a shame to lose that. So now we're going to remove the whey. Come here. We remove the whey until it's at the same level as the curd grains. As you can see, we haven't added any salt yet. Salt is added at the end in the brine to give the mozzarella its flavor. All right, we've removed all of that. This will be for melting. We put this into a colander. Now we let it drain. We need about 15 minutes for the whey to drain and for a more or less solid piece of cheese to form, which we'll then flip over. And also, my friends who make mozzarella at home recommended, by the way, that if you have time and aren't in a rush, it's actually better to put this drained and already flipped cheese mass into the fridge. They say at least for an hour, so it stabilizes, cools down a bit, firms up, and then you can melt it. You can, in principle, also do it right away, as soon as we drain it. There are other variations too. I've seen that some people help by pressing it with their hands. So take your time, work on some starter or another cheese, leave it, and let it slowly drain for these 15 minutes. Yes, we'll need this whey for melting later. And here, let's tidy up a bit. Now we flip our piece, our curd. Oh, don't leave it for too long, otherwise it'll get sticky, so to speak. It's okay if it's not perfectly solid, at least it's tender. We've flipped it over and let it drain a little more. Or, like I said, you can put it in the fridge if you have things to do. Meanwhile, we're heating up the whey or water. It can be plain water if that's more convenient for you. I prefer the taste of whey. Heat it up to 75 degrees, 75, 80. The upper limit is 85, so it melts nicely, but we don't go any higher. We put in our thermometer, just like that. Our first temperature is 80 degrees. Now we take this curd, this piece, and transfer it into the bowl like this. Or remember, we take it out of the fridge, if it's from the fridge. We take everything, every bit is worth its weight in gold. Right, we still need to weigh it out with you. I had, almost 5 liters of milk, about 4.5. Set it aside. All of this has come together into a curd. Now we cut it into pieces or tear it apart. We're going to melt it again. This is so that, again, the hot whey can pass through all these pieces. All right, we've torn it apart. Or if yours turns out a bit firmer, thicker, a bit coarser, then just cut it into nice pieces like this. We've cut it up. Next, we're going to do some truly extreme and exciting stuff together. You should have protective gloves, because I've long since lost sensitivity in my hands in the kitchen. I've burned them 100 times. I'm not that afraid of hot things. If you're worried, just grab some gloves, like, for example, textile ones, or even garden gloves with protection, and then put latex gloves on top. Or those thick rubber gloves, but they have to be really thick, because 80 degrees, look, it's already 82. That's actually hot for your hands, you'll feel it. I'll just use 2 layers of regular ones like this. And now, look what I'm doing. I'm pouring this 80-degree, 82-degree whey. I put the whey back on the stove and let it heat up a bit more to 85, so I raised the temperature a little. Again, this is all for proper melting. We start working it diligently from the very bottom up, carefully gathering it into a substantial pile. The future mozzarella slowly starts to melt, and eventually, it should almost begin stretching from your hands, indicating its readiness and developing the desired texture. This is the kind of melting that should happen. So we lift it up from the bottom to the top like this. Let's agree right away that we don't squeeze it, never press it out. So don't press too hard. All right, 85 degrees, turn it off. There we go, great, perfect, set it aside, perfect. So we literally need about 20 seconds here, just while it's heated up. We'll pour this off now, let's do it. Pour it in, add the hotter one. There, see what result we get now. So it starts to shine, it's all come together in a little pile, but we're keeping that fibrous, loose texture. If you get too aggressive with the temperature, like how mozzarella can get that runoff, well, that's when you're really skilled at doing it by feel, and it's heating up right in the pot, heating, and you can't see the temperature anymore, it's gone up somewhere, and you're just kneading it. So the hotter the water or whey is, and the more we knead it, the more rubbery and tough it will turn out. To keep it tender, you need to stick to these temperature regimes. But if you try to avoid overheating and don't heat the water or whey enough, that's also bad. Mozzarella just won't turn out, unfortunately. Ow, that's really hot. See, it's starting to stretch now. Right, and when the mozzarella starts to stretch, we take it and fold it like this, once, twice, then the other way. Yeah, it gets wet again, once, fold, twice. The other way. Once like this, and even the excess liquid will naturally drain off completely while we are carefully folding it. But if we observe that the temperature is not quite enough to make it wonderfully nice and perfectly smooth, we will then gently put it back into the pot, allowing it to reach the ideal consistency. And now I need to get the ice ready in just a second. Very cold water. Oops. We can add some salt right away. 1 tablespoon of salt per liter of water. Season the mozzarella right away. There we go. All right, come here and don't just lie there for too long. We don't need that. Now, I want to make the environment a bit hotter again. Oh, this is good here. We have only slightly twisted it just a little bit, you see. So you don't need to stretch it too much into those long, stringy lines. That will affect its texture. It'll just be a bit tougher. Yeah, it'll melt nicely on your pizza, sure, but you won't get that delicate flavor and tender texture. Right, just dipped it a bit and folded it. And now you can start shaping the balls. You can make 2, I think, about this size. Yeah, between your index finger and thumb, just grab it like a little pouch. It's okay if it's not perfectly even, no big deal. And we put it into ice water to set. Don't try to smooth it out with your fingers now, or you'll leave fingerprints. All right, and then heat it up a little more, gently. Yeah, make sure everything feels nice and tender. Now, for this ball, you need to shape it so that the edges get tucked inside somehow, like this, for example. To smooth out the surface, always use a bit of heat. Break time equals 0.5s / a quick dip. Smooth it out as gently as possible, just like that, very delicately, and then pop right into the ice water. Don't leave it in the brine for too long. 10 minutes is enough for it to cool down, because this will also affect the outer texture. It can start to get slimy, so you need to take it out of the cold water in time. And it's very important, if you're not going to eat it right away, for example, you can store it either in the brine or in these special bags for a few days. These are mozzarella bags. You pour the same brine in there, or make a fresh one with clean water and put it inside. Or you can wrap it in plastic wrap and keep it like that until you use it. It keeps for up to a week in the fridge, basically. Of course, its texture changes over time. Mozzarella ages, the outer shell gets kind of slimy, or on the contrary, it starts to break down. And do you know, by the way, what can make its outer shell break down? It's if you add iodized salt. So under no circumstances should we use Himalayan salt or smoked salt with spices. Just regular rock salt, not iodized, because otherwise it really damages the outer texture. You might not even realize what happened. You did everything according to the recipe, and then, bam, it turns out the salt worked against you. All right, your teacher, while the mozzarella is cooling down, is coming back to the board, yes. After that, what did we have next? That's right. The curd, which we cut into cubes and stirred. Yes, we stirred, and stirred. Next, we strain it through a sieve, drain it a bit, cool it down, and then we have the melting process, the melting stage. Melting. First, we poured water at 80 degrees, right, and then we move on to 85 degrees Celsius. We folded it about 6 to 8 times, up to 10, okay. I get that it's fun to play around, to pull it, and really, when you dip it into hot whey or water, you can really stretch it out. But that will make your cheese tougher. Just a heads up, I'm telling you this not from theory, but from experience. I've already dealt with this before, so I just want to be honest with you. And basically, that's it. All that's left is to weigh what we've got. All right. Come here, beauty. 287 and a bit. Well, I did nibble a little. 561. So about 600 grams. Listen, that's an excellent yield. That's an excellent yield of mozzarella. That's exactly how it should be. That's the first thing. Secondly, there's nothing like the experience of making your own cheese, treating your loved ones, and then cooking dishes like pizza with your own starter. Okay, I'll try this one, the one that didn't turn out so pretty, and let's put this nice one in the bag together. Let's go visit someone. So for half a liter of water, add a tablespoon of salt and dissolve it. This will be our brine, but don't keep it in the brine for more than 3 days, okay? Then it's better to just wrap it in plastic so it doesn't dissolve. There we go, the brine is now ready. And this beauty goes plop in there and will go to someone, yes. So we've tied it up like this. Yes. Oh, I'm hurrying already. That's it. Put your autograph and enjoy. What could be better? Yes, I'll definitely be waiting for your messages. How did you like the process? The taste? How often will you repeat this? And you can send a selfie with the mozzarella and your big smile, all 32 teeth. All right, we're cutting it. There's a kind of liquid that comes out. That's called the mozzarella tear. That's how it's supposed to be. If you cut your cheese and there are no holes at all, you don't see any fibers like I have here. It's too dense, and that little tear doesn't come out. Still, you did something wrong. Probably overheated it. I suspect I overheated the cheese. I'll have to try again. Actually, it should be like this even at the very beginning. Really juicy, lively. Yes. Next, as we tear it apart, we can see these fibers that we gradually created. It's not just about how we fold it. It's about forming the right curd, moderate stirring, draining it on a sieve, how it forms there delicately, right. It's also important not to constantly press it, that's crucial too. Look, take a look. See? This is how it should be composed, this mozzarella, of such muscles, fibers. Creamy. The lowest, the fat one. Please remember the formula. You can follow the instructions I give you instead of memorizing them. Remember the quality of the milk. Choose the best at Nina to deliver milk for you. Please appreciate the product made with your own hands. There's nothing better or tastier, of course. Vlad, you're definitely going to like this one. Well, I hope so.